Mimi Rocah is back, as I said. She joins tonight's panel of Dan Balls, the Washington Post chief correspondent, near 10, the president of the Center for American Progress, also a former senior advisor to both President Obama and Secretary Hillary Clinton. And Alfonso Aguilar is the president of Latino Partnership for Conservative Principles. Mimi, though, let me start with you on walk us through the law of when it comes to the president's and part. What legal jeopardy could he be in when it comes to dangling pardons, or really is there jeopardy?
Absolutely, there's potential jeopardy. I mean, if Trump is using pardons to get, or even trying to use his pardon power to get people to not cooperate in the investigation, any investigation, whether it be Mueller, Congress, or the Southern District, that is potential witness tampering and or obstruction. Now, there are legal experts out there who take a different view and who say because the pardon power is a legitimate power of the president, he can pardon anyone he wants. Right. So that really can't be sort of viewed in this way. But first of all, I think that's wrong, and I think that it's been rebutted, very well, more than we have time for here now. But also, this isn't about him granting pardons. This is about him dangling them, and that's different. That is a corrupt use of the pardon power, and I think he's been doing it. I mean, he's doing it. Look, I obviously am not privy to the conversations he's having.
Let me just say, he admitted it in an interview with the New York Post. Talking about a pardon for Paul Manafort, he said, I could do it. It's on the table. Nothing's off. I mean, he's done it in plain sight, in that sense. Yeah. Well,
and the point I was going to make was, even putting that aside for a second, we see him doing it on television and on Twitter. I mean, he's making it clear that the people who don't cooperate are good and they stay in his good graces. And everyone knows that this is sort of out there. And Cohen, has given, I guess, conflicting testimony. I still don't know what the facts are. I don't think any of us really do. And that's part of the problem here. As you said, good luck figuring out who's telling the truth. You know what? We, the American public, shouldn't have to figure it out. This should be something that happens under oath. And you know who's gone under oath? Michael Cohen. You know who hasn't? Donald Trump. And he has made himself, yet again, a witness. If he were not the president of the United States, he would have to testify about this, because he just admitted something he denied before, and it's something that's very incriminating.
Look, I want to run through this. Cohen says he never asked for a pardon, Dan Balls. Lanny Davis says Cohen directed his lawyer to explore one with Rudy Giuliani. Donald Trump says Cohen asked him directly, and Rudy Giuliani says multiple people were asking for pardons all the time. What do you believe? What's the American public supposed to believe?
I don't think people know what to believe at this point. I mean, you have a self-admitted liar who's plead guilty to lying. You have a president who lies constantly. You have them each making accusations toward one another. I don't know how you do sort this out. I think Mimi's absolutely right. The American public needs to figure out, needs to have a way to get to the truth. And I think that because of the structure of this operation and because we're dealing with the president of the United States, it's almost impossible to get to that. Maybe I'm wrong. But I worry.
We can say for sure that there was an inaccuracy in Cohen's testimony. He said he would not ask for a pardon. Lanny Davis came forward and said his previous legal representation had tried to negotiate a pardon. So he wasn't being truthful there. Now, in terms of the president talking about this, we've said it many, many times. When you're under investigation, you shouldn't be talking about this, right? But it also depends on if it was a pardon request, or did he actually end up talking to Cohen about it. So it depends on the context. But it is troubling that he's talking about it, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you just said is an indication of why this is so crazy, and actually an indication of guilt, because any other president, I've worked for a president who was under investigation. Your lawyer tells you not to discuss the legal details, not to get into things like this. You cannot imagine any other president actually even using the word pardon for fear of the retribution. And I think this is a way in which Donald Trump has sort of lowered the bar. When you look at what's happened here, it looks like he's dangling a pardon. We have a series of cases. It's not the only issue in which obstruction of justice is here. Obviously, he also copped to essentially firing Comey because of the Russia investigation. So I think there's a pattern here, and I have to say I find it amusing that the argument is Michael Cohen might not be telling the truth when Donald Trump has a historic landmark problem with the truth.
I understand your point, but aren't you bothered by, I mean, you had Michael Cohen as a star witness, as the first witness last week.
Lying. He did lie to Congress.
Yeah,
we all knew
but he apparently lied twice last week.
So, Mimi, you've been through, take your average RICO case, I'm guessing. I say average RICO case. My guess is the average RICO case the SDNY has to deal with. You're dealing with a whole bunch of people that lie for a living. Mm-hmm. And some of these people have to be believed by grand jurors and eventually actual jurors. And it's a whole bunch of people that lie. I mean, in some cases, the president is benefiting from the fact that the people he hired aren't to be trusted.
Absolutely. I mean, he surrounded himself with liars. And so now when they come out and say something about him that is not good for him, he can just, say they're lying. He can pick and choose which lies, right? When Cohen said that there are, he doesn't have any, quote, direct evidence of collusion, Trump praised him and said, oh, he's telling the truth. So he's trying to pick and choose. Look, it's really hard. It is hard. Determining whether someone's telling the truth is the hardest thing that prosecutors do, that investigators do. And that's why you don't just, sit there and say, well, I think he's telling the truth or I don't. I mean, first of all, you do obviously someone under oath is more likely to tell the truth than someone not. It's much easier for Trump to just make statements and lie, and we know that he does. You look at the history of the person. And both of those factors here, I mean, Trump and Cohen, it's both problematic. So you have to look at the other evidence. Will we have other evidence here besides Trump says, Cohen says?
And there you go.
We don't know, right?
And
I mean, if we don't, then this would be almost an impossible case to charge criminally. But it may not be an impossible thing for Congress to come to some determination on in terms of impeachment. But as a prosecutor, you would not charge this just based on Cohen.
I was just going to say, I think that, that obviously this pardon question has cropped up today, and it's an interesting one and a potentially, damaging one. But Michael Cohen was there to testify about a lot of other things, for which presumably he provided corroborating evidence, or has provided corroborating evidence. We're going to find out that. This is now another, we've opened up another vein in this investigation in which it raises the question of the degree to which the president has, in one way or another, been trying to tamper with witnesses.
What this makes me think then is, boy, the interview that Mueller did conduct with the president in writing, we don't, we're finding out about some of these conversations now, Alfonso. But I think what we when was the president questioned about this stuff? And he may have already been questioned about this stuff, which, of course, suddenly, what do those written answers mean?
Well, right. But again, it was, I guess, we don't know, but the focus was on collusion. What Cohen did last week was to bring up a number of issues, very serious allegations that I agree that, based on Michael Cohen's allegation, a prosecutor would not move forward with charging the president. But I think he did mention certain things that the Southern District of New York could actually find evidence. For example, when he says that he inflated his assets to get a loan from a bank, I think that would be pretty easy to corroborate.
Yeah, he did bring a check of the president writing out a payment while he was president of the United States in order that was essentially a hush money payment, or at least that's the argument.
And you don't know.
He's paying Michael Cohen money.
He's his
There's
lawyer.
going to be lots of facts around this.
He's retained.
I think the issue here, and I think this is an important one, is how many other facts there are around this. But the fact that there are multiple crimes, not just conspiracy or collusion, is not something that makes the president look better. It makes him look worse.
Mimi, let me ask you this. At this point, all the questions we have for the president, how is it that Mueller didn't at least try to subpoena him to the grand jury?
Exactly.
That's a great question. And I was actually discussing that with some people earlier because
I just don't get it.
Well, I have to say, until recently, I actually did get it. And I thought, why would Mueller waste his time with that? He is just going to lie. And not that I think it's a perjury charge, but he's not going to get new information. So the written answers were kind of a brilliant way to just get him, sort of stuck with a set of facts, but not go through this subpoena fight. This now, though, where you have something where it may come down to the credibility of the president versus somebody else. And again, we don't know, because there
Right.
could be other witnesses to this. There could be other things that really corroborate Cohen, even if, and just common sense. I mean, look, it's not hard to
Right.
believe that this is what Trump was doing. Because we kind of see him do it publicly, and he's incrementally admitting it, like he always does, right? It was,
Right.
I never discussed pardons.
Sure.
I didn't know about hush money, and then so I think that now, to me, I am asking that question. I don't know if Mueller is asking that question as well, but you know, and
Right.
frankly, you know, the Southern District could as well.
Exactly. I think it's going to be the question a lot of people have. If indeed Mueller doesn't ever attempt to do that, because he still might. He still could. Anyway, Mimi Rocah, I'm going to let you go. Thank you very much. Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.